Mayor of the City of Providence. Good morning, Mayor David Cicilline. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, John.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I want to start off, Mr. Mayor. You know Richard Brady,
Yes.
good friend of yours?
Yes.
Okay. He and his wife have contributed to your campaign.
Yes.
Did you ever receive a check from him that was alleged from Robert Soprano that he handed you a check regarding some taxes?
Absolutely not.
That never happened?
Absolutely not.
Do you ever make it a practice to take checks? Do people hand checks directly to you?
No, not for their tax payments. Absolutely not. I want to be very clear. There was never a tax adjustment that was ever made for any taxpayer of the city based on whether they supported me or didn't support me, which is a part of the claim of Mr. Soprano. That's absolutely false.
He has quite a resume, and I understand prior to this whole involvement with the tax issue, an impeccable reputation. What's your reaction, first of all, to the lawsuit he's bringing forth against the city?
Well, I think it should be very clear to people what this lawsuit is about. This is, again, an effort by political enemies of mine to attack the work we've done for the last 6 years. I and members of my administration have worked very, very hard to change the culture of corruption that existed in our city for decades, that resulted in bringing real national disgrace to Providence. And we've worked very hard to change that. And there are a lot of people who profited from the old way of doing business in the city, and they don't like the changes. And I'm going to fight very hard to protect the work that we've done and the integrity we've brought to the city. The assessment about what was done in that office is not just an assessment done by the finance director who reviewed the deficiencies in that office. I engaged an independent outside auditing firm, a nationally respected auditing firm, KPMG, and they detailed extensive and serious deficiencies in that office, including a lack of formal policies, an inability to segregate duties in the office, lack of automations, payments not being secured, no visual security system, the lack of same-day teller cash balancing, no policies outlining the granting of interest adjustments, lack of oversight for collections, and on and on and on. Those are just a few examples. Those are serious deficiencies in that office. Those were the findings of KPMG, which confirmed the observations made by the finance director about the leadership in that office. So I think it's very clear that the termination of Mr. Soprano was justified. There was ample evidence that he was not operating that office properly and well. Again, not just the assessment of the new finance director, but also the assessment of KPMG. And, I certainly have become aware that that there has been an ongoing sort of effort to attack my administration, that it's occurred on this radio station on some of the airwaves. I understand that, and that's part of the entertainment value, and I understand that's the shtick of these individuals. But to file a lawsuit, to make a claim which is absolutely false in an effort to get $10 million from the taxpayers of the city, when you look at the money that they're claiming, the lawyer that's involved, it's outrageous, and it's gone too far.
We're going to come back. Providence Mayor David Cicilline is in studio right now, though, from the Gem Plumbing on time at 8:43 on this Thursday. Good morning. This is John DePetro in the WPRO Morning News, brought to you by Conklin Limestone. Your home improvement dreams are reality. Conklin Limestone. Get the best quality, lowest prices. Call 334-2330 or log on ConklinLimestone.com. Conklin Limestone, helping you create beautiful outdoor environments. With us in studio, Providence Mayor David Cicilline. Mr. Mayor, I just want to come back to this. Of the person bringing the suit against you, Robert Soprano. He feels there was tax favoritism. He claims that Richard Brady handed you a check that then you said that you would handle, and you said he's been very generous to the city. Now, your former chief of staff, Mike Mello, he claims he doesn't remember any type of interaction. But is it possible that Mr. Soprano misunderstood some instructions you gave him regarding Richard Brady?
No, I never gave any instructions to Mr. Soprano about Mr. Brady, period. And just to be sure it's very clear to the listeners, since 2003, the tax office has made approximately 3,500 adjustments from between 2003 and the present. About 2,500 individuals have come to the Office of Neighborhood Services seeking adjustments for a variety of reasons, not receiving a bill, family illness, a series of other reasons. So there are a lot of adjustments that are made by the tax assessor's office. But I can say without question, I have never nor has anyone on my staff made a suggestion that adjustment ought to be made because someone supported me. That's an absolutely absurd claim.
The state police describe the investigation as ongoing. Why is that still ongoing?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the investigation being ongoing. I don't know the circumstances. We have been very transparent about this. I put all of the report of the independent auditing firm online. We opened a ProvidenceSunshine.com website, so all adjustments going forward will be recorded and the reasons for them. So we've shared all this information. I was the one who invited an examination of this by the independent examiner, cooperated and directed all people in the administration to give all the information that was requested from any of the law enforcement agencies. So I don't know that that's still ongoing, but I know that a review is underway.
The changes that you said that KPMG had recommended after their audit, is there any city or town in Rhode Island that currently has the type of changes that they suggested be implemented?
No, but I can tell you that we've implemented many of those changes already.
But is that a fair assessment? If no one has the type of setup that KPMG has suggested, then maybe that it's unfair to judge the work done by Robert Soprano if no one is operating at that
No,
level.
I think the controls that KPMG talks about, the segregation of duties, the security provisions, the oversight, those are things which I
For instance,
expect.
does Warwick have it? Does Cranston have
Well,
that?
I would expect those are sort of basic accounting and operations requirements. What I think is important in the KPM recommendations is, and we ought to have, is protocols and procedures and standards for when tax abatements are issued. There were not standards. They were left to the total discretion of the tax collector. There was not a review process. So if the tax collector said no and the taxpayer felt aggrieved, there's not a process where they can challenge that decision. And so I've proposed an ordinance to the City Council that would give the Board of Tax and Assessment Review the ability to review those final decisions so that taxpayers who were aggrieved would have an avenue of recourse that would be done in a public proceeding, and they would have a chance to seek appeal from the decision of the tax collector.
We're going to be right back with the mayor, Mayor David Cicilline, in studio right now from the Gem Plumbing on.